Check 1, 2. Check, 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 check. Drive you crazy. Holy cow. All right, this is the Streaming Idiots pre-show. So, if you're not an idiot, hit the road, Jack. All right, let's see if we can't get organized here. We have a couple of keyboards, some good old analog devices, a mouse, and a new lighting system. Is that light? Yeah, we'll have to work on this. Eric is here. Welcome. Glad to have you. Good to see you. Well, or see your name anyway. Let's see. I've got a message here that's held for review. Let's show it. There we go. RP Media. Sorry about that. YouTube flagged it and said that the word idiot apparently was not nice. So they wanted to hold it back. So there we go. All right. So YouTube is also throwing a warning saying that the current bitrate is lower than the recommended bitrate. Well, I am streaming at 4.5. Don't know why they're not receiving 4.5. Oh, now they say it's in excellent condition. Maybe there wasn't enough motion in what we were doing. Oh, well, gee whiz. Welcome, 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 welcome. We've got just a few minutes, 7 minutes to be exact. And I am excited about today's prediction show. It was really funny as I prepared for this show, and I'll probably say this again later, but I'm pretty excited about it. I went back and reviewed the prediction shows that we did. I think I might have missed one. I think we did one in 2016, but I reviewed the one from 17, 18, 19, and 20. And 3 out of the 4 years, I made the same prediction. How about that? So I kept hoping. Yep, there we go. Automation for vMix, that's Gunnar. Welcome, glad to have you. DV2 broadcast. Good evening, Tom. Is that Martin? Yes, it looks like looks like Martin's icon there. Thank you. And just a word, if I forget to mention it later, that the opening and closing video, the Jaws of Death, were created by Martin K. Thank you, Martin. And he was very kind to send me a new closing, which has the proper copyright date. So there we go. Oh, I better turn this sucker off. So anyway, it was an alarm saying your Streaming Idiot show is coming up. All right. Yes, indeed it is. Can we turn everything down? Down, 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 down. Okay, we're good there. It might vibrate just a tad, but sometimes you need to have it on vibrate just in case there's something that's demands immediate attention. So, but it really was interesting to go back and look through the predictions that I've had over the last 4 years and see which ones of them have come true. There were lots of predictions about NDI and that was going to come through, and my famous prediction about Facebook Live, that it would be just a total flop. Boy, I nailed that one, didn't I? I think that was back in 2016. I looked for it today because I wanted to replay it, but I couldn't find it. So you'll just have to take my word for it. Yep, Facebook Live, total flop. You heard it right here. 5 years ago. Anyway, so it has been an interesting year, 2020. We're not going to do a retrospective on that. Nobody wants to go back there. And we'll look forward to 2021 with excitement and hope. Tim is here. Welcome, Tim. Glad to have you. Excitement, hope, and what else? Joy, anticipation of joy. Yeah. If you're watching us on Facebook, good old Facebook, let me get that up here. You're probably watching on the Streaming Idiots page, and we are just not getting, Facebook doesn't allow us to pull in the comments from a group, the Streaming Idiots group, because of privacy reasons. So you won't see those comments here. That's what I'm struggling to say. You won't see those comments there. And I've just popped over there, and I can see that Hamiet has said that he hopes to see a future of cheaper 4K PTZ cameras with full NDI. Well, they're there, and my guess is that as there's more competition in the market, we'll see the price come down. That's the thing, it's just without competition. The other thing is it's a supply and demand issue. Why reduce the price when you're selling out at the current price? So it is basic economics in terms of how business is run, that you don't reduce the price if you're selling them as fast as you can make them. And it wouldn't surprise me that if the USA tariffs are lifted on cameras from China, that we won't see the prices remain the same, that the tariff won't reduce the price, because they're selling out at that price right now. In fact, we'll have to check and see if the tariffs have been cut or eliminated already. All right, let's see. Oz by Drone says, good morning. Good morning. You must be on the West Coast. Facebook comments with Titler Live works. Yes, they might on a page, but the problem is that Facebook won't allow that for a group comment. Yeah, it works great on pages, and we're using vMix Social, which comes free with every version of vMix. And it works great, and that's what we're seeing right now. Basically, I've taken several vMix Socials and changed the coloring on them and all sorts of things like that. So yeah. So what was I thinking? Something else I was thinking. Yeah, I guess we're getting ready. We might even start on time today. Holy cow. That would be just amazing. It would be just awesome. Awesome, I say. Awesome. Sorry, I'm not trying to make fun of any of my friends overseas. But let's go. Let's go. We'll do this. We'll do this one on time. Looks like we're counting down. I'm looking down at the little counter. Let me throw that up there. There's the little counter right there, and shows me my current time, and then it counts down to the start of the show. It doesn't start the show automatically. It just gives me a feel for what's going on, and it hit 0. So let's go. Let's do this thing. Let's have a show, shall we? Thanks, Mark. Oh my goodness. Hello and welcome. I'm Tom Sinclair. This is Streaming Idiots, the very first Streaming Idiot show of the year, 2021. Holy cow. I remember when I was a kid thinking, the year 2000, golly, I'm going to be 45 in the year 2000. Gee whiz. So yeah, that tells you my age. So I'm so glad you're here with us. Today is going to be our annual predictions show. Hence the question mark. Do we have the question mark here? Let's see if we've got the question mark. Oh yeah, there it goes. And that cute little bounce and movement was courtesy of GT Title Designer. We need to do a show on that and show how to do some of that fun stuff, because you can do all sorts of great animations with the GT Title Designer. You have to have the vMix 4K or the Pro in order to use them, but you can develop them and play with them at any version of vMix, including the basic HD. So where do we start when we're looking forward into the future? It's helpful to know where we've been. So I pulled out, as I looked back and pulled out some old videos, I realized I do this a lot. Holy cow. It's just, it's kind of like an evil scientist. I went back and pulled out some clips from some of the shows that we did in previous years on predictions for that particular year. And so I thought I'd play some of them now. They're kind of interesting, and you might notice a theme on them as they play. Let's take this lower third out, and we'll bring this. Let's make sure we got audio on all these guys. 1 second. Doesn't look like I turned on the audio. So let's do that. Okay, there we go. All right. This is first clip is from 2017. 2017. I think number 3, and this is a prediction looking back at the path moving forward, that more and more churches, houses of worship, will discover live streaming and will embrace it. And one of the reasons that they will embrace it is because it fits in with their mission. Yes, it fits in with the mission. That's right. So that was 2017. Churches will begin to live stream. Okay, and that turned out to be true. That turned out to be true. Here at Eastern Shore Broadcasting, a lot of our clients are churches that want to either start live streaming or expand their live streaming, or in some cases, we've had some say we want to throw out everything that we started with 5 or 6 years ago, and we want to start fresh because there's new technology we want to take advantage of. Okay, so let's move forward to 2018. This is 2018. Third thing is, I think more and more churches will embrace live streaming. I know I said that last year, but I think it's even more true this year, as more and more churches, they're seeing other churches do it, and they're thinking about it, they're thinking it through, and they're realizing, hey, this is a real ministry, not just to folks outside of the church, but to folks inside the church. And apparently in 2018, I was having some problems with my color. Yeah, I've stopped going to that tanning salon. But so here's a theme. 2017, churches will embrace live streaming. 2018, I still thought the same way. Let's see what I think in 2019, or looking ahead to 2019. Are we ready? Here we go. Somebody's already done this. That somebody is going to live stream the birth of their child in 2018. And if so, that one was a little off the map. I haven't heard of anybody doing it. I think if I were a baby doctor, I don't think I'd let that kind of camera into the birthing room. But you never know. It may have been done. I haven't looked on YouTube to see if there's a live stream from that. But people are going to live stream all sorts of things. And this was looking forward to 2019. I actually went on to say, if they'd had what if they'd had live streaming back when Jesus was born? We could have watched the birth of Jesus, and then 2,000 years later, we would have that video that we could pull out and watch every Christmas. It might be, depending on what angle you got, it could be a little gross. Okay, so moving ahead to 2020, what did I think, or obviously every year there was more than one prediction, but 2020, the last prediction is that churches will begin to use live streaming. Come on, Tom. Don't be an idiot. Well, wait a second. Of course, be an idiot. Yeah, but what do I mean? Of course, I mean something besides what I said I meant. Um, so there we go. 2020, churches will begin to live stream. And what I said there, and it's very, very long. You know how me, I can go on a tangent and say very little in a long period of time. But I wanted to make the distinction there between a lot of churches that had already begun to embrace live streaming, a lot of non-denominational churches, a lot of more traditional churches had not yet begun to embrace live streaming. And I think in the last year, we've seen a marked change in that. For example, there's a traditional denominational church here in my little town of Fairhope. And if you look on their YouTube page, their very first YouTube video is March 2020. And you can look through their history of how they're live streaming. In fact, the first ones may not have been live at all, but apparently they have moved to live, and how they've progressed from a very basic live stream and have added to it along the way. And I still think the basics are still true. In fact, more true now than ever, where people are uncomfortable going into a large gathering. And obviously, we all know why for that. And so more people are not attending church probably than ever before for that specific reason. They want to feel safe for their own health, because maybe they're in a situation like me where their health is a little on the edge. I mean, I've got two factors. I'm 65 and I have a past history of heart disease. So I'm kind of, one of those that's supposedly more vulnerable. Even though I had the virus back in November, recovered from it fully, I can understand those that would have that concern. So churches, all this year, starting in February, March, and April, I was hearing, we've got to live stream, because they were shut down completely. And they didn't have, and church just would cease to exist if they didn't have something that was at least available for live stream. And I had a number of churches approach me very quickly, Tom, what can we do? Okay, let's get something in place. And the response that I got back from them was, not only are we not losing ground, we're gaining ground. Our average attendance over the live stream is as much or more than our average Sunday attendance was live. And as those churches have moved from lockdown, not being allowed to have, any participants other than the officiants in the service, we see that people came back, but the numbers between live and live streamed continue to be really, really solid. And a number of churches reported to me that the giving, the contributions, had not dropped. In fact, in some cases had increased. And so the churches that did live stream during 2020, I think, found themselves in a much better position than those that didn't live stream during 2020. And so that's kind of a segue to my predictions for for 2021, is that churches will begin to live stream. Those that have held out to the very end will begin to live stream. And begin is probably not the right word, because I think what we're going to see is a lot of churches specifically, and I'm going to expand this in another prediction in just a minute, churches will begin to enhance their live stream. They will add cameras, new camera positions. They'll increase the quality of the audio, especially when it comes to the music, and they will find ways to make it easier for the I won't say the viewer, but the church member or the viewer to actually watch the live stream. One of my friends in the Northwest, Dave, says that they have gone out to the local nursing home and and hooked them up with how to watch their Sunday live stream, so that a nurse can essentially, it's probably a little bit more than that, but can essentially click a button and the live stream comes on for that Sunday morning live, so that folks that are in nursing homes, and we know nursing homes have been under lockdowns since probably April or May. I know the last time I saw my mom in a normal situation was in February. But there is an aspect of not only, will we make a live stream available for you that might want to come watch it, which is active, but it's sort of passive at the same time. That is, we're going to make it available and then we'll just sort of toss it out there and see what happens. But yet we're going to see more and more churches become more proactive in making sure that, their older members that don't know how to operate technology as well can get this. Some churches are using services where people can call and listen to the service on a telephone. Is that a step backwards? Well, it doesn't matter whether it's a step backwards or not, if it means that people can participate when they couldn't participate previously. So we'll use any kind of technology. We'll use a landline telephone if that's what people can meet. So much of technology, or the growth in technology, has been new and better and bigger and different and more colorful and smaller and all those kinds of things. And it's left out people in generations close to mine and older. At one point I realized, I had to make a choice about how much technology I was willing to keep up with, because there just simply wasn't enough time to keep up with all of it. And so I picked out the kinds of technology that I wanted to stay current in. For example, I'm not really good in robotics, if you were worried about that. But I encourage you, if you're in your church and if you're involved in the technology, involved in the live stream, in that part of yes, it's a ministry, to take the next step and to begin to find ways to go into your community, either your church community or your geographical community, and make sure that if not only your live stream from your church, your denomination, your flavor of Christianity, but that it might be available to multiple flavors and not just Christianity for that. Okay. So that was number one. More churches will begin, to live stream. Yes, they will begin to live stream. Okay, let's see. What about, number two I'm excited about. And we've seen this back in 2020, and I think we'll see it more in 2021, 2022, is that products will be developed specifically for live streaming, because live streaming is no longer kind of this little teeny microscopic niche filled by hobbyists and maybe a few schools or a few businesses, but now it's become absolutely positively accepted as part of the norm. And I would even go so far as to say live streaming is now mainstream. Live streaming is now mainstream. You look on TV and everything I saw last night that advertised an upcoming show or an upcoming network talked about it. And it may have been just in the fine print, kind of like, Eastern Time, Central Time. Us Central Time folks always get the byline. But the byline was that it was going to be live streamed, and this is major networks. And we're seeing this again and again and again. Live streaming is mainstream. And as a result, we're going to see more and better products for live stream. I'm excited about it. Now, I think that what we are doing here at Eastern Shore Broadcasting is right in the sweet spot. I think we've got the primo live streaming software. And it used to be that, live streaming or video production, live video production was very much hardware based. And there was those folks that, we just poo-poo the software-based switcher. It'll never work. It'll never be reliable. It's no more reliable. It will never be as reliable as our fill in the blank. And had somebody call me right before Christmas that had one of those fill in the blanks. And he said, it's crazy. It just breaks down all the time. I want to get rid of it. I want to have a PC that has common components in it, that if I need to, I can fix it myself. And I said, you won't have to fix it yourself because it won't break, because we're going to build them not to break. Anyway, that's a different story. But software switchers like vMix are, well, I'm not going to speak for the others, but I'm going to say vMix, super reliable. That this software has the poo tested out of it before it hits the streets as a beta. We've got vMix 24 in beta, and it's getting close. All the signs are there that we're going to birth a new vMix 24 before too long, and I think first quarter 2021. Don't tie me to that one. But there's so many goods and services that are available now that weren't available a year ago, certainly not 2 or 3 years ago, that will allow you to live stream. And I'm going to get into that with number 4. So let's move on to number 3. Number 3, more effort will go into live streaming. I think we're going to find people that took their phone to live stream their church service. They're after almost a year, they're tired of holding that phone. They're ready to upgrade. All those folks that took the camcorder off the shelf in the closet and hooked it up to a Magewell dongle and plugged it into a laptop, they're ready to improve. They're ready to get something better. They're ready to move on because they're convinced. They don't have to have anybody go prove the case for them. They are convinced. Number one, especially in the church world, they know it's essential. If you were in the conferencing world, you know it's essential. If you're in the live events world, you know it's essential. Live streaming now is not just a nice add-on. Live streaming is essential. And those of us that have been in live streaming for a while knew this day was going to come. Sorry that it had to come this way, but we didn't cause it. But we are prepared to help you get better at whatever it is you're going to do. And that more effort is going to be in terms of gear. It's going to be in terms of other capability like faster internet and things like that. It's going to be in terms of better training and more personal skills for the folks that are doing the operation. But we're going to see more and more effort put into live streaming simply because people are going to have to. They're going to have to do it. They already know they have to, but they got to get better. All right, we've already crossed the threshold. We've already carried the bride into, the honeymoon suite, and now it's time to get. We've done that very first initial step. Now it's time to get better, to develop that relationship that's going to last a long, long time. In May, Sandy and I will celebrate, I think, 42 years of marriage, and each day is better than the last. It's good stuff. Okay, so let's go on to number 4. Number 4 is going to be, there will be more live streaming shows about live streaming. I predicted this a couple of years ago about, there'll be all these instant live streaming experts that will come into the market. And for those of us here in the South U.S., it was a common thing, and I'm not this old, but after the Civil War, there were a lot of folks that came down to the South, flim-flammers, and they called them carpetbaggers, and because their luggage was a piece of carpet that had been sewn up into a suitcase, and they opened their carpet bag, and they were going to sell you something. Well, I think we're going to continue to see that, and probably more in the next year or two, of people that just sort of pop up and they're an expert on live streaming. And you too you too can be an expert on live streaming, and it's only going to cost you $1,900 to take this course. But wait, there's more. For an extra $595, you can, it's going to be that hard sell pitch to folks that realize they either need to start live streaming or they need to know more about live streaming. And it's going to be unfortunate because those folks won't have enough knowledge to discern what's true and what's Jello. Now, I like Jello. I didn't mean to make fun of Jello, but Jello is just not solid. It's not authentic in that sense. It's not real, although it does taste good. It is important if you are in live streaming and people are asking your opinion, for you to give them some good, solid information. If you don't know, say you don't know, and let me know, and I'll help you find out. But increases and gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Let's make it get bigger and bigger and bigger based on good, accurate information that people can know and trust, and that's what we want. So as you see these new folks pop up, use a discerning eye and a discerning ear to tell if they are something that's worthwhile referring or not, as the case may be. Okay, let's get that off. All right, so that's our four. We're down to only 4 predictions for 2021, because frankly, as I looked at 2021, I was like, oh gosh, what is going to happen? A lot is going to happen, but what is going to happen? So I tried to be a little cautious there. But I also, as I look forward to 2021, I've got some trends that I want to share, and the trends are, welcome, Otis. Good to see you, Clint. And Herman's here too. And Rich is here. All right. Trends for 2021. More NDI. It's like ice cream, man. You just can't get enough of it, It's chocolate ice cream and chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream. And yeah, you can't get enough of NDI. NDI is everywhere, and it's going to be even more everywhere in the future because it's so amazing. NDI was just wow. I think we're going to see, I'm hoping that one of the trends will be, well, let me back up 2 steps. All right, so the Bird Dog guys have got NDI on a chip, and they figured out how to engineer it. And I think somebody else out there has already got NDI on a chip. And the more we see NDI on a chip, I don't know whether it's going to be licensed or whether it's going to be homegrown engineered, but at some point we're going to see NDI on a chip of a brand name, and again, no offense to Bird Dog, but on a brand name camera company, whether it's a Panasonic or a Canon or a whatever it might be. And I'm not talking just about a pan tilt zoom cameras, although it seems like, for some reason that pan tilt zoom market has embraced NDI HX, but the NDI concept. I would like to see that move to traditional, what I would call traditional video cameras, so that in sports, you can take your existing camera and you can put an NDI encoder on it, and suddenly you've got NDI, and yes, you can. But for folks that are buying new gear, I want them to have the opportunity in that new gear to plug in SDI or to plug in NDI. Anyway, I think we're going to see more and more NDI. I think we're going to see more and more NDI products. We're going to see more and more NDI encoders. We're going to see more NDI decoders. We're going to see, we might, wouldn't it be cool if we saw a TV that had NDI in it? Red Hornet is saying in the chat that he predicts NDI 5.0 before year's end. Well, we may see. Another trend that I think we'll see continue is the use of SRT, especially with so much remote production going on. SRT is a real lifesaver because it allows you to have secure, reliable transport of your video, but it also allows you to have, I mean, not only is every bit of video or every byte of data that you're sending is going to get there, but it's going to get there on time, and that is going to be used more and more and more and more as there's more and more remote production. I'm hearing of people right now that have got these remote video kits that they're sending out, and they've got a ring light, and they've got, they may have a webcam or another camera or, a microphone, maybe a laptop, and they're going to be using SRT so that they are getting absolutely perfect video, and they're not risking the glitches that we can have sometimes using other methods. So I think SRT is going to be continue to be used more and more. We might see more products with SRT kind of built in. The line of KiloView encoders, for example, I think are going to be a great way to solve these kind of problems, because back in the workshop you can program them with the destination and everything that they need, and then the remote person, all they have to do is plug in power, plug in video, plug in audio, and it's streaming. Well, not streaming, but it's sending video. So Rich says in the chat that he's doing SRT constantly for his gigs across the country. As you may recall, Rick was our live streamer of the year back in 2018 for his work back then, and of course it's continued since then. Excuse me, with live streaming in the jet ski and wave runner world. All sorts of racing going on there. In fact, Rich was featured in a CBS ad recently for the wave runner races. Rich was featured there, and I think vMix even made an appearance in that ad. It was really pretty cool. Oh, got the hiccups here. Let's try this. Supposedly, if you put your fingers in your ears and hold them there for a period of time, it does some sort of pressure point thing and allows the hiccups to subside. I'm not putting my fingers in my ears, but I've got earbuds in. I'm not really sure why. I know. So I could have heard the first 4 predictions that I made from previous years, but looks like that did the trick. Very good. Okay, and now you've got another tip on how to solve hiccups. Trend number 4 is that we will see more and more virtual events. I can't tell you how many folks that did live event production that were calling me to say, Tom, how do we get into this live streaming? Because live events just aren't happening. I mean, this was back in the beginning where they were not happening at all, and now they're beginning to happen with limited audiences. But I had somebody text me this morning and say, hey, Tom, can you help me put together a live stream for a gig coming up? Unfortunately, it's going to be a week and a half, so we'll have to scramble to get it together. And it's going to happen here in my hometown at the local civic center. So I want to make sure they can get it done and get it done well. But it's going to have limited attendance, and so it recognizes some young people that have achieved some significant milestones, and not everybody's going to be able to attend. And even if it were open and we were back in 2019, not everybody would be able to attend. Grandma stuck up in Poughkeepsie would not be able to fly down for this type of thing. So live streaming is going to be that way to connect it all. And I think in the live event industry, as that begins to come back, maybe not ever to the way it was before, but it's going to come back. We're going to have live get-togethers. We're going to have NAB. We're going to have IBC. We're going to have conferences again. But there'll be people that will be hesitant to come for their own health, and I certainly understand that. And companies that are probably hesitant to send their people for the same reason, but that they will need to continue to add an element of a virtual event portion to it. They're going to have maybe live events, but virtual speakers. And we've seen that in the past So it's not a new thing, but I think it's a trend that's going to continue. It's going to build, and we're going to see more and more of that integration to the point where it just becomes a norm, where live streaming is no longer a new and different thing. It's an essential part, like a Phillips head screwdriver. You got to have a Phillips head screwdriver in your toolkit. You do. I can't tell you how many of them I have because I always leave them around places. The last trend that I'm gonna shout out about for 2021 is going to be what I call, what's the best way to call it? Production in the cloud. And we had a show on that earlier in the year. I think it was a roundtable on vMix in the cloud and had some great guests there. You can go back and see it on our YouTube channel. But I think we'll see, I'm already seeing more and more people doing production in the cloud, partially because of the need to do kind of virtual events, but also to they can rent more horsepower than they can own. With SRT, we can get all the cameras in there. We can get the audio in there. We're going to switch it in the cloud, and we can have a big, beefy mama jama up there that we probably wouldn't want to afford to have live in our studio. And we can fire it up and pay for it when we need it, and then shut it down and stop paying for it when we don't. I had a conversation yesterday with a producer in New York who's doing live events using production in the cloud because he needs the horsepower, he needs remote access for more than one person, and he's found that that's going to work better for him than his local machine. His local machine still has a purpose because he picked it up. It's one of those that has the handle on it. He picked it up and he took it out to an event, and he said he loved having it out at the event. He loved having it back in the studio, and it wasn't something that could have necessarily been done as easily in the cloud. But we're going to see more cloud production, and we're going to see more people that are experienced. Right now, I think it's a really small group of people that have experience, trial and error, nuts and bolts experience with streaming in the cloud. But that's going to expand, and I'm hoping that one of our offerings here at Eastern Shore Broadcasting is that we can offer a class, as soon as I can get the right person to help teach it, a class in the future on maybe vMix specific, maybe not, but remote production in the cloud. So look for that as a trend for 2021. So trends for 2021: more NDI, more SRT, more remote production more virtual events combined with live events, and then more production in the cloud. It's going to be an exciting year, and I think a year filled with a lot of hope that, before we didn't really have hope. We just had, maintaining until the next surge. And I think we've gotten through the Thanksgiving surge, and we probably have a little bit of a Christmas surge coming on. But, found out that today's Wednesday. 2 days ago, my mom up in Virginia got vaccinated. She's in a nursing home facility in a larger complex, and they were one of the priorities in the state of Virginia, was to get all the medical personnel and the residents of nursing homes immunized. And CVS Pharmacy had a contract with probably dozens and dozens of nursing homes up there, and was providing that service. And so as that happens more and more, she'll get her second shot at the end of the month. My prediction, it has nothing to do with live streaming, but my prediction is that the nursing home that is now under lockdown will begin to open up to visitors. And maybe not just open up to visitors, but open up to the point where folks can go off campus instead of being locked down. She's been in the same place. Well, she's had a couple of doctor visits she had to go off campus for, but she's only been off campus maybe 3 times since February. That takes a toll. Yeah, that takes a toll. Anyway, I'm stoked about 2021. I see good things on lots of different levels, and especially for churches. And if you're in a church, I want to encourage you to continue to find ways to make your live stream better, and continue to find ways to make it more accessible to people out in the community, especially your local community. Because you can knock on a door of a nursing home and say, "Hey, do you guys need any assistance? Getting getting live streams of all the churches here on Sunday mornings." It doesn't have to be just your church. You can do it out of the goodness of your heart. That's the ticket. That's 2021. Tom's predictions and Tom's trends for 2021. We're going to go into post-show, and I hope you have some questions for me there. And again, hat tip to Martin Kay for the closing that's about to come up. Oh, and by the way, John, I always forget about this. But Streaming Idiots is brought to you by Eastern Shore Broadcasting, which is my company. The QR code will take you there. And we build equipment for live streaming. We also carry a lot of the components that you might need, the dongles and the capture cards, things like that. We're big proponents of the PTZ cameras, especially for churches. We represent PTZ Optics and Bird Dog in the PTZ line. We really believe in the encoders for NDI, and we carry the Bird Dog and the Magewell and the Kiloview. So we're happy to help you with those kind of either bits and pieces, or we're happy to help you design and build your own studio. In fact, if you want, we'll come build it for you. So there are lots of different opportunities that we think we have to serve the live streaming industry. And if we can help, just give us a call. Our bread and butter, the real meat of what we do is to build Windows PCs that are dedicated for live streaming. That's what we do the most of. And if you've tried to build one yourself, or if you've bought one from Best Buy or Walmart or someplace like that, and are beginning to feel like it could be better, or I know it could be better, give me a call. We'll figure out if there's a way to repurpose any of your older gear and help you get fixed up with the right system. So off to the post show. Appreciate you tuning in. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Come join our Streaming Idiots group on Facebook, and we'd love to have you. We'll be right back with the post show. Come on, we'll be right back. We'll be right back. Where's the right button? Oh, there's the right button. All right. Very good, very good. So thank you for the show. Thank you for tuning in. It's always a treat to have you. I'm trying to figure out how to get to the chat again. Let's see. Welcome to Oz by Drone. Yep. Welcome to Red Hornet. All right. RP Media. RP Media says Panasonic has that already. Does Panasonic have a full NDI camera, or just NDI? And I say just NDI HX. That's a big deal. For a camera company that might not have any other NDI offerings. Panasonic is kind of funny. They were the ones that we made fun of a couple of years ago when they announced that their cameras were NDI compatible. So if you could plug a Bird Dog Studio into it from HDMI to HDMI or SDI to SDI, that it would be NDI compatible. And I made fun of them. I don't do that very often, but I made fun of them on this show, and I never ever saw that in their publicity again, that they were NDI compatible, until they came out with their NDI HX license option. Oh, it's Ed. All right, Ed. Welcome. Yeah, if Panasonic has a full NDI camera, I'd like to know that. That would be very interesting, because that means that either they developed that chip themselves, or they had it licensed to them from somebody else, like perhaps New Tech or Bird Dog or somebody like that. So we will see. Yeah, this is the one that I'm referring to right there. There we go. Um, to Ed Horn, the Red Hornet, we definitely say Happy New Year back at you. And it's really interesting that you would predict that NDI will be at 5.0 by the end of the year. Is that prediction based on some specific knowledge, or just are you just an idiot like me? There we go. Herman is asking how much is the upgrade of NDI for his Zcam 12X. I think that's the PTZ Optics 12X. If it's capable, Herman, it will be about $400. But the only advantage that I see you having, let's get these guys out of the way, in doing that is maybe lowering the latency a little bit, because I think you're doing IP streaming out of that camera right now. So you're just getting it by Ethernet. And lowering the latency, of course, is always nice, because if you have more than one camera, you want your cameras to be in sync so far as latency is concerned. Let's see. Rich is making fun of me. He predicts Facebook Live will be a thing. Back in, I think it was 2016, I predicted that Facebook Live would be a flop, would be just, not well received. In some ways, like I thought it was going to be kind of like Periscope. And Periscope was sort of the live streaming arm of Twitter. And then eventually that they sort of merged, and I'm not sure if Periscope still has its own kind of entity at this point. But I predicted that Facebook Live, that is live streaming to Facebook, would not be successful. And of course, it has had zillions of views and has been monumentally successful, and to the point where I recommend it, especially for a lot of churches, because you can, Facebook will do a lot of the heavy lifting so far as marketing or notifications are concerned. Yep. Let's see. What is Jacob predicting? He predicts that the predictions you predict, Tom, will all be right. Well, you probably have about the same success record as I do, which means if I'm partially right, that means you're partially right. Rich has had the opportunity to do the SRT gigs. Let's see, here we go. Oz by Drone has experienced some Wirecast crashes. He'd love vMix, but no Mac version. And unfortunately, there will never, ever be a Mac version. I mean, other than running it under Boot Camp or something like that. It's just not going to happen. I had somebody call me yesterday and was ready to spend big bucks if we could do it on Mac, and just it's not happening. One interesting note about what's going on at Wirecast, I think this is well, maybe I better hold off. I'm not sure if this is public consumption, so I'll hold off. Let's see. Here's an interesting prediction from Heartlight TV Tube. Is they predicting that YouTube will make their RTMPS endpoint the default. That's interesting. I think they have required it, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm thinking about Facebook. I know that that vMix is ready for that. If it's not already required and being done, then vMix is ready. And RP Media is got the same request that many folks have, is that Bird Dog would get their Dante already straightened out. I have a feeling what's going on there is that during 2020, BirdDog released like, I don't know, close to maybe 20 new products. And whereas in the previous year or years, they'd released maybe 2 a year. And they just really accelerated their product release, and I think just kind of overwhelmed themselves. And so they've had to go back and, where things didn't quite work out the way they thought they would, they've had to spend some time with that. And I know Dante is on the list, but I don't think they've kind of gotten to it yet. Let's see. Let me go back to the fresh comments. So Ed is asking, is there a way to stream to YouTube like we used to without having to open the browser? Well, yes and no. How about that for a mamby-pamby answer? Today, I am streaming to you on YouTube. That's what you're seeing if you're watching it in either on YouTube directly or on the Eastern Shore Broadcasting page. That's a YouTube embed. And we are using the same YouTube stream key that we've been using for, I don't know how long, but it's the same one we used last week and the week before and the week before and the week before and the week before and the week before. And I agree. YouTube has done a scrambled egg thing on their whole streaming process. The path of least resistance, Ed, that I've found has been and it's been, kind of a plus and a minus at the same time, is that for this show, for example, sometime in the course of the week between this show and next week's show, I will log into my YouTube account in the browser, and I will go into, let's see, what is it? I will go into, I can't do it here. I will go into the create, that little create button up there in the top left-hand corner, and click the go live, even though I'm not going live. I'm talking about future going live. And then that brings up a window that allows me to manage. There's a little button over here called Manage. And then when I go to the Manage screen, I can set a future event and use all the settings from the previous event. So for example, today's show is on YouTube at 1080p 60. That's not their standard offering. So I had to go in and set up sort of a special stream setting for that, and I make sure I use that every time. And then I can go ahead and schedule the stream for a particular day and particular time. And once I've done that, I don't have to touch that YouTube browser window again. I can go straight to Wednesday and click stream, and it will stream to that. And the only time I have to go back to the browser window is when I want to do it again next week. So Ed says he can do it by scheduling. So far as doing one on the fly, I've not tried to do a YouTube on the fly, so I can't help you on that one. But I like the scheduling because it forces me into a discipline to do it in advance. I also go back, as you can tell if you're watching this on the Eastern Shore Broadcasting page, I like to go back on the day of the stream and go to the streaming page and go to the share button, that little arrow that goes up, and pull out the embed code, or even the watch code, and there are 11 characters in that watch code that are specific to this stream. And so I'll go into my my WordPress for the Eastern Shore Broadcasting page, and I will edit out last week's 11 characters that are specific to last week's show, and I'll put in the 11 characters that are specific to this week's show, both for the video and for the chat. And then what happens after the show is after the show is live and is no longer live, that embed code that is, this live show right now will function as a player for that show until I have a new live show. So, from today until next Wednesday morning, you'll be able to watch this show on this page. And so I have a lot of folks that they can't catch it live, and they'll just come to easternshorebroadcasting.com, and there it is right on the front page, the show from the previous Wednesday. In fact, I think I forgot to update that one day, and somebody called me and said, "Are you okay?" Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. Let's see. And I don't know if that helped you at all, but I was happy to talk about it. Rich says, Tom, no predictions on 5G technology. I think it will carve a niche this year for streaming. That's a really good point. And it depends on where you live. Here in Little Podunky, Fairhope, Alabama, we're going to get 5G around about 2030. Although I have seen some strange little posts that have been installed here and there around town that I think are probably AT&T's 5G that hasn't been turned on yet. Some of them have been there 6 months. But yes, I think you're right. I think it'll really open up. It'll open up remote broadcasting. I mean, on site, not in studio. Yep. Let's see. Let's go back to this page here for just a second. This is interesting from Heartlight TV Tube that Microsoft will open up LinkedIn to everyone. LinkedIn has been in streaming beta limbo for, I think, a year. And they've really held the live streaming reins very tightly into who they're allowed to do that and who they won't. And I'd like to see them open it up too. As a content producer, I would gladly stream to LinkedIn every week. I think I could develop an audience there that I'm not getting right now. They would probably just throw tomatoes at me, but that's okay. That's okay. All right, and Ed said he was wondering how I did that with the watch feature. Yep. And I did a show pretty much showing how I did that about 2 or 3 months ago. It should be archived in the YouTube channel. Let's see if I can find it real quickly, just out of curiosity. So we'll go to youtube.com, and then let's see, we're going to go vMix YouTube and see what we get. That's just a common. And do we pick it up on the first page? Nope, doesn't look like. Oh, nope. Doesn't look like we're going to get it. So we're going to have to be more specific with what we search. The first page just seems to go on and on and on. Oh, because it keeps refreshing. All right. So let's go to our page. Go to my videos. Let's see if we can do a search there. Actually, we can probably just. This would be a live video, not an upload. Yeah, it's called Embed Your YouTube Live Stream in Your Website. And when was that done? I don't see a date on here. Interesting. Let's go back here. Maybe we can find the date here. December 2nd. December 2nd. So there we go. That should be a good one. Interesting comment here by Ed. Seems like Chamber of Commerce meetings would be a natural progression for streaming on LinkedIn. I would think so too. I mean, if I were the chamber, I would be all over that. I haven't checked as to what my local chamber is doing. I probably should, to see what they're doing with live streaming. Yep. So interesting. I'm monitoring the YouTube page for this broadcast, which shows the image in the top left-hand corner. Well, let me just capture it. I mean, we've got the technology. Let's use the technology, shall we? I think that's display 2. It is display 2. So this is what it looks like, and you can see me in the top left-hand corner. Of course, I'm going to be delayed for a little bit, and then you can see the viewership across the bottom, and you can see, we've begun to lose viewers, and I monitor this during the show to kind of see at what point is it time to pull the plug, and then down here on the right side, I can see the chat, and then right up here, this is the share button where I pick up the URL. Let's see if that share button will pop up. Yeah, there we go. And so right here, those 11 characters, whoops, not including the slash, those 11 characters are specific to this stream. So yeah, so we'll close that and we'll go back to this. And I'm also on the same monitor looking at this. And so this is all of the comments that you have made. And let me see if I can sharpen it just a little bit. There we go. And on YouTube, on vMix Social, I can pick one of these comments and just left click it and then click send. And that comment now populates this bubble over here to the right that also is a vMix title. All right, guys. Well, I am going to close up shop here today. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it. Appreciate your comments and your questions. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week when we do who knows what. Haven't looked that. I've looked forward to the entire year 2021, but I haven't looked forward to the January. What would that be? January 13th show. So it'll be something exciting, and I'll put out some feelers on it, some little teasers on it. But thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next week. Thank you. And I'll give you a little bit of music to go out with here as we go out.